Hello, my little pretties. What's up? It's your mistress, the Queen of Lions here, and today we are doing another episode of Shadows and Pretties. Now, this episode today is going to be something that I never expected to do, but here we are today. In a good way, not in a bad way, people. So, yeah, you guys are fine. So, the last episode we did was called Monsters Inc. That was episode 53. So we're at episode 54, and today I decided to go to, well, you could definitely say, hey, I'm on my way to see this wonderful story that I've heard. Now I think I heard of this from Disney Fanatic 2364's channel when she did her podcast on Beauties and Beasts on this certain topic. And I decided to look into it deeper into the whole story, and that is called The Bride of the Limdorm King. Now, I've kind of heard of this story, from somewhere, but I barely see any videos with people talking about it. Like, I've seen some people talk about it, but I thought, you know what, I will go ahead and talk about it and cover it for you guys, so that way you guys can get the whole explanation on what this story is about. Just so then you guys, have the whole story in your head. And now, just to let you know, and I'm going to be spoiling everything about this, well, you could definitely tell, I am going to be spoiling everything about this kind of, well, story. So, if you guys have not heard of The Bride of the Limdorm King, I highly recommend you look it up. It's pretty amazing and really well done. So, with that being the case, if you guys happen to be brand new here on this channel, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let's get to it. So, of course, this story takes place in Sweden during the medieval times. I can already tell that this was taken during the medieval times because of the theme and the stuff right here, per se. You could definitely say it's that. So, I am going to sit there and, kind of explain what the story is about. So, it's about centuries ago, and it takes place in Sweden. Yes, it's taken place in Sweden. Now, I think I covered a fairy tale topic that took place in Sweden, but I can't remember. I think this might be the first one. So basically, centuries ago, a queen lay in her bedchamber, and she's about to give birth to twins. For many years of empty and longing for children, she had seemed to be detained, never to conceive. But of course, she smiled and recalled, however, that she had consulted a soothsayer who had reassured her that in less than a year she would be granted two handsome sons, provided that she ate two fresh onions as soon as she returned to the palace. So although his advice had seemed quite bizarre, yeah, like really bizarre, the queen had been so into that chance and offered it to her that she had rushed away, ignoring the voices of the soothsayer calling her after that. So when she returned home, the queen ordered two crisp onions and to be brought to her at once. Yeah, this was back, before World War One, Two, and this was years ago. Actually, I'm not even sure if this is actually true, but who really knows? Now, the queen was excited by the promise of the onions that she would eat one of them without stopping even to peel the skin off of it. Yeah, you need to peel the skin off of the onion. And not surprisingly, it tasted disgusting, and so despite her enthusiasm, she spent her carefully peeling the second one, stripping every layer of the skin before eating it. Of course, 9 months later, and now she ends up foretelling the soothsayer, who is greatly desired by his sons that were born. Outside in the royal bedchamber, the courtiers of the palace staff were eagerly waiting for the official announcement of the birth of the two princes. Suddenly, they heard an ear-splitting scream echoing in the chamber. But it was not from a cry of a newborn baby, it was just a shriek of horror, and a wail that sprung from the throat of the royal midwife, who just upon seeing the queen's first child. It was male, but however, though, it was not human. Yeah, I could definitely say that, this is when things start to take a different turn. Like, if you know the Bride of the Limdorm King story, you probably already know. So, and of course, the queen had given birth to a Limdorn, a hideous snake-like dragon whose wingless body thrashed upon the marble floor in scaly coils from those who have shoulders sprang from the powerful limbs and talon on fiend. Of course, she was repulsed by the creature, though she was unable to even whisper, let alone scream. The queen leaned down and took the young Limdorm in her hands and hurled it towards the window for defense in the forest surrounding the place. So, of course, weakened from the accession, the queen sank back into the bed and gave birth again. This time she gave birth to a healthy, fresh boy with with basically golden hair and sparkly blue eyes. So, yeah, very not really like a best parenting what the queen did right here, like when she gave birth to, a hideous lizard-like creature, or at least something like that instead of a baby, and she just abandons one of them and likes the other. Like, that's just bad parenting. Like, if you have twins or if you have one or two or more children, you got to treat them the same way you treat your kids. Don't treat them, any differently. So I could definitely say, don't treat one person the same differently than the other one. So, of course, years pass and the boy became a young prince and is in search for a bride. Yeah, basically in every fairy tale, it always involves that. But what he found was his brother in the Limdorm, and the prince was riding around the edge of the vast forest, compressing the palace. Then, without a warning, a huge head emerged from the thorny bush directly in front of him, rearing up until its green-scaled body resembled the towering green. The Limdorm gazed down at the young youth, an unblinking amber eyes, of course penetrated from most of the thoughts, and the prince stared back. Of course, he was stunned to see it, and he heard its voice assuring him with a cold reptilian detachment, and he clearly said that he would never find a wife until he, the elder brother, obtained the true love of a willing bride. So, according to over the next few months of succession in the village, maidens have given the Limdorm the hope of overcoming his barrier to the young prince's request for a bride. So, needless to say, the maidens came in willingly, but however, none of them accepted by the monster. And this situation seemed pretty impossible. So, yeah, I could definitely say that Bride of Discord was taking inspiration from this story. And when I heard that DF took inspiration from Beauty and the Beast for Bride of Discord and Bride of Limdorm King, I have no idea what the Bride of Limdorm King was, and I thought maybe there'll be a Disney movie of it someday. I have a feeling there might be a Disney movie of it. Maybe in the future Disney might make a movie out of that, which I really do hope they do, because that would be kind of something, and I would definitely really like that idea. So, when the next maiden is selected to be the bride of the Limdorm, had good fortune in her encounter of a soothsayer whom the queen had consulted many years before. But of course, listening to while the maiden spoke of her intended flight, the soothsayer whispered into her the few words that swiftly replaced her with sadness, but with a smile of delight. So later on that night, the maiden was presented to the Limdorm, who gruffly took her off into it, and which she seemed to be wearingly, surprisingly in number to. She agreed to this, but only extracted from the Limdorm's promise that for her every dress that she took off, it would be a shed layer of skin. But of course, as that progressed, only one remained, and until the maiden was clothed in just a simple garment. Despite remembering the words of the soothsayer, it wasn't until the nervousness that she had removed the final gown, and of course stood in front of the great dragon, and then the Limdorm moved towards her, and the maiden did tense, fearing yet also desiring. For what's supposed to become, as for the soothsayer had already spoken truthfully, that there will be great happiness and love ahead. Now, just like with Bride of Discord, this was all, kind of like Daughter of Discord, except it involves ponies and a Draconic Quest rather than, humans, basically. So I could definitely say that. So, of course, she stood motionless, and serpent and the dragon, again, of course, he enveloped her body in its scaly coils, and she expected them to feel cold and slimy, but was presently and surprisingly warmth to the softness when they embraced for each other. So even though she felt a flicker of terror rise within her and desired to flee, when the words of the soothsayer came back in her head, calming her down, she then relaxed again. And of course, she noticed that the Limdorm's last layer of skin, so the skin was so much soft and almost translucent, was starting to peel away, folding back on itself like a cluster with withered leaves. So at the time, the strange dry green mist magnifies itself, enveloping the Limdorm, until she was aware of his presence, only to be embraced by the similar body. So gradually, mist disappeared and revealed that she was no longer wrapped in the serpent coils of the Limdorm, but held them in the arms of a handsome prince she's ever seen. Yeah, this is probably, reminding me of Beauty and the Beast, how Belle, confesses her love for the Beast when she comes back to the castle, and the Beast turns back into the prince. So I'm sure maybe that's the idea they got. So the soothsayer had indeed spoken truthfully, following her instructions. The maiden dispelled the enchantment and had and embrace him within a body of the Limdorm, but there was an elder prince to the heir of the throne, who she would certainly be a willing bride. So, of course, the joyful marriage took without delay, and after the old queen had given her blessing to the newlyweds, now the king and queen felt a light tap on their shoulder, and it was a soothsayer who revealed the information to the queen that had not stayed all those years ago would be both to be sure to peel the onions before eating them. So that's basically the whole story of the Limdorm King story. Now, what did I actually think of this story? I actually found this story to be rather amazing. So, I can definitely say now there is something called a Limworm, which is Limdorm King, which is something. So, of course, in tales, this is like an Australian tale from the 13th century. It tells about, well, you guess they say it's basically about the dragon who basically wants a bride. So basically, there was other versions of it, like the late beliefs in the Limdorm in Sweden, and of course there was many other tales of it. So, of course, with that being the case, it actually became a really interesting concept that, they've actually made a really good story behind it. So I could definitely say this was an inspiration for Bride of Discord. Like, this was a really great inspiration. I can definitely say it was really, really, really good. So, with that being the case, yeah, what did I actually think of this story? I actually found it to be rather amazing and really well made. It kind of reminded me of Beauty and the Beast a little bit, and a bit of Bride of Discord, except there were some differences in this that I can definitely say. There were some differences that I could definitely say. One of them being there is a, well, you could already take a guess that there was, like, one prince that was born normal and not scared or anything, and then the other one was just born, well, like a scaly monster, but of course is looking for the bride, and then of course the bride has to come willingly. So yeah, that's basically what the story is about. What this story is about. So I actually found this story to be rather interesting, and I could definitely say, if you guys want to check out the story, there is a website. There's like a few of them that actually contain the story of the Bride of the Limdorm King. If you want to go check that out, that's totally fine, because I really recommend you check that out. Like, it was really, 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 really amazing. I definitely have to say that now. It was a really well made and well made story. So, for those of you who have not seen this, episode, well, not episode, but if you have not seen this Shadows and Pretties episodes, and if you're new to my channel and don't know what this episode, or, this show, this little podcast is, feel free to go check out my playlist for them, because I do have a playlist, and that's where I talk about certain movies, TV shows, and etc. So, if you happen to be brand new here on this channel, I'm going to say right now, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and because I make brand new videos every single day, don't forget to ring the notification bell when I upload so that you guys will not miss an upload. Oh, and before I go, I'm going to say this. What did you guys think about this story of the Bride of the Limdorm King? Did you all like it? Did you not? Also, what have you have done person to help make this fairy tale a lot better? Just leave me now what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. If you like this fairy tale, that's good or fine. If you don't like this fairy tale, I respect your opinion on that. So, with that being said, I'll be catching you all in the next upload. So thank you so much for watching today's episode. And as always, I'll be catching you all next time.